Ha ha hey! Friends and family, welcome and thank you for joining us for the very first episode of Honor All Life. My name is Dan Nanamkin. First of all, I just want to begin in prayer. And earlier today, as well as this last few days, we've been saying a lot of prayers, whether it's in the sweat lodge, whether we're at home burning our smudge and praying for the people, or sometimes when we go jogging and we'll pray, or even when we're up in the mountains, we keep people in prayer. We're at a very difficult time in history. We have a lot of loss, a lot of grief, and this is one of our common connections now, is each one of us in our communities, in our circles, are now experiencing grief and loss. And this is one of the topics that we chose to speak about at this time. So in actuality, we rushed ourselves to create this podcast. Through our experience, we know that during the holiday season and during the winter months, generally we as a community experience grief, loss at a higher rate. And now with the COVID pandemic nationwide, everyone is now experiencing this grief and loss. My name is Dan Nanamkin. My Indian name is Kauplis Inamkla. And I'm bringing this podcast in partnership with Music and Beyond. My good partner, Farron So Happy, he's a NAMI nominated music engineer, and he has reached out to help me with this podcast. And I'm just letting you know, we experienced some difficulties. We had this whole show recorded and there was one glitch. So here we are today. We're re-recording this, not in our ideal situation or in their studio, but we want to get this out to you, so we're working at this today. Normally I'm a little bit dressed up, but I just got down from the mountains. I was out hunting today since early this morning, but I wanted to finish this with you. The thing I like about this is integrity. We have the integrity to follow our word and make things happen. So you betcha we're going to create these series of 5, and the first 4 are going to be pre-recorded. Our goal is by the 5th one that we will do a live session with you. And the reason why, again, is we're pushing this rather quickly is because I realize, even from my own circle of friends, that we're losing so many so quick, and so many people are struggling to find answers. Many people are falling into further depression and anxiety because normally we have community, we have ways of dealing with grief and loss. I have experienced this 2 months ago with my own loss. And I know that normally we would have family would come in, different people would help you and take different parts, but due to social restriction, we're not able to. And I know a lot of the younger folks especially, they may not have the tools to go through the grieving process. Some may not have that resource. They may not have the courage to ask. So we wanted to present this in a way that was going to be available to all people, that they could feel welcome and supported. And this is the objective of why we're doing this series, to cover the 5 stages of grief and loss. However, if there seems to be support and interest, I hope to continue on with different topics such as health, healing, happiness, and humanity. I am the organizer of the Young Warrior Society, and we have an indigenous-led land-based camp, our sovereignty educational camp here on the Colville Indian Reservation. And we've been working to create this Indigenous education for the last few years. I recently did a TED Talk, and right now I'm currently in the beginnings of writing 2 books. One originally was about grief and loss, but due to the timing, I just felt that it was important to get a podcast out. So please like and subscribe and follow us. We will also be doing a Podbean, and we will be posting links on that, so you can join us on that. And please like and subscribe to Music and Beyond, because they also got some pretty interesting content on their stations. So my relatives, I just wanted to begin this with the intro. Then I'm going to move on to what the 5 stages of grief and loss and what we can do today. Some people may wonder, well, how come you call yourself Uncle Dan? To me, being an uncle is a high honor. I love my nephews and nieces, and as an uncle, you're also a teacher. You're also someone who enacts discipline and education and support. And I speak in this way to people of all colors and all different circles. I've traveled the last 4 years across the nation, talking with many different people from all sort of beliefs, colors, nations, and I've been studying humanity. My disclaimer today is, I'm not a medical professional. I don't have a degree in grief and loss, but it's something that do have a lot of experience, personal experience, as well as working experience. I, along with Farron, we worked at the Nespelem Community Center, and while we were there, we hosted events from A to Z, from weddings to sporting events to youth events to tribal trainings. But most of all, our number one event that always took priority was funerals. And we hosted, on average, 3 to 5 funerals a month. During the winter, it always spiked. And it was very sad. And I think, to me personally, I began to become hardened inside, internally. And it was only through losing my boy, Pusiah, which was my service dog, my best friend for over a decade. And that really just crumbled me up, broke me up. And I would say for many years I had no tears. I didn't cry for anything. But man, this last couple of months, there's so many tears and awakening. But what I did was I utilized a lot of the things that I learned in our culture, our traditions, our ceremonies, things that I've been taught from my elders growing up. And I worked very hard along with my girl dog, Chicha Oops, that we strive through these different stages to find healing. I didn't know why I was pushing myself so hard through it, but we pushed to find that healing and to confront all of these challenges and fears. And it wasn't until then that someone said, there's the 5 stages of grief and loss. And honestly, up to that point, I did not even know about them, but I looked at that and I was like, wow, okay, I did this, I did that. This is where I'm at right here, and this is why I'm angry. This is the bargaining. So on and so forth. It brought a little bit of awareness to me. So the 5 stages of grief and loss that I researched and I see and have listed is depression, anger, bargaining, denial and isolation, and acceptance. There's other things that people could fit in there, sadness and loneliness, which could be a part of all of these different things. Um, but my thoughts on all of these things is I went even further back into my own personal experiences in life when I was younger, and I lost family members. All the way from when I was 2 months old, I lost my mother. I lost, in one decade, 60% of our immediate family members, my inner circle. And so there were some very challenging times that I went through on a personal basis, as well as historically. We've lost many people, tribes, entire families of people through cultural genocide, and that has taken place here through manifest destiny. So our people have had to learn ways to cope with great loss. And here we are now in this pandemic, losing people again and again and again. And some people may wonder, well, what is your take on this? What is your cultural perspective? And that's one thing people don't normally get to experience. I've been to non-indigenous funerals. I've been to funeral services of other tribes, and I've been to many of our services here, and I see that there's ways to take care of ourselves. But I also have to understand my personal challenges, and that's what led me into hardships when I did not take care of myself, when I did not do the work to heal myself. And there are people who are stuck in that for years and years and years. One elder disclosed to me this last week, over 50 years he carried grief and anger and hardships. Another elder, she said she carried hers still for 23 years. And that's one thing that's important to understand, is we all grieve in different ways. And so in those 5 stages, there's no particular order in which they come in. They could come in any order. They could come back again. So it's being aware of those 5 stages, and that you will go through those. And some of them will become sticking points if you don't face it. And the challenges are, just like I endured personally, was addiction. Addiction was a big one that haunted me for many years. Anger, isolation. I got stuck into a lot of self-hatred, and I guess when you get into some of these things, it falls into further damage. And it's a cycle of violence that pervades our homes and our families, because sometimes we lash out to our siblings, to our children, to our loved ones, and we don't know where this anger is coming from. So sometimes it's that hurt that's within us that continues to carry on and creates a cycle of violence that continues and continues on. And as well as this addictions and all the negativity that comes from the damage that happens to us through grief and loss. So this is why I feel it's important for us to understand these challenges, as well as to understand some people may not get to fully go through the grieving and loss. Maybe it's because of their job. I know some people are working 2 and 3 jobs, and they just have no time for anything else. Some families have little children, and I know that that's a lot of work to take care of that. Maybe you have neighbors that are just really disruptive, and you can't really feel safe in your environment. or maybe there's hurt people within your family that said hurtful things to you. Oh, we don't do it that way, or you don't cry, you don't show any weakness, or there's cultural things. Oh, you have to only do this for this set of time, and that's it. Look down or feel, what's the word I'm looking for, vulnerable, that they might want to perceive themselves to always be this very highly enlightened person. But eventually all these things will catch up to you if you don't take care of them. And, I could go on, but you could look at your own life and your own situations and take a moment to really look with honesty on what you're going through, whether it be anger, isolation, denial, some sort of behavioral issue, relationship issue, trust issue, and really list that to yourself, and we're going to move on to the next step. Thank you. Well, as far as depression goes, many of us again will deal with it in many ways. Some people may want to seek professional help, counseling, but unfortunately during COVID, many of counselors are not receiving new clients. And this is another reason we thought, to bring something out, just to create awareness and encouragement to people to get through this time. And one of the things that we, like myself and Farron, we're both singers, and in our way, in our cultural way, our songs are also healing. So many people enjoy hearing music. They ask us to sing for services and memorials. And this is one of the things that we do, is to help people through songs. And these songs, some of them have been passed down for thousands and thousands of years. Some of these songs that we carry are songs that have come from the other side, from the next world, and to pass down along with the teachings on how we take care of ourselves. Some of these songs are songs that come to us in ceremony. These are ceremonial songs, and can only be sung, in those things. So some of these songs that we sing are not public songs, but songs are healing. And if you don't have that resource available, go to YouTube and check out, some songs like the Native American church songs, powwow or flute, or other different songs that might uplift your spirit a little bit. You could come to my YouTube and I'll share some songs there, as well as Farron at Music and Beyond. He does his broadcasts with songs as well. We have healing ceremonies. Again, I go to the sweat lodge. I have my own sweat lodge, and we continue our prayers. So just to let you know, you're not alone in your hurting and your despair, that we have myself as well as many other sweat lodge relatives that are continually praying for you during this time. And when we go into our ceremonies, we put these prayers up for everyone who's hurting with grief and loss, as well as those who have that COVID sickness, and those that are struggling, with the fear and the anxiety. So some things that really helped me with my most recent loss is facing things. You could choose not to, or you can choose to face it. And I chose to face it. And one of the things that helped me is I use my plant medicines from our area. So wherever you're from, learning through your indigenous relatives the plant medicines local herbalists, people who understand herbology are very important, to learn the plant medicines. Those things really help. They do, as well as rest, taking it easy on yourself, being kind to yourself and gentle to yourself, forgiving of yourself, but of others as well. I myself choose to step away from the TV and the politics, to step away even from social media and different things, to take that break that I need to clear my mind. So just like this morning, I was out in the mountains enjoying peace, serenity with nature, as well as spending time with my dogs, Checha Oops, and our new boy, Skookum. Just that laughter, the humor, finding finding things that bring you happiness and joy, and to understand that whether it be something, a funny person, maybe be something funny on TV, whatever it is that brings you a little bit of humor, to find that one of the things I also recognized is sometimes our own inner circle, our own family, relatives, community, sometimes you think that those are people that would stand with you during this time. And sometimes it causes a little bit of anger and resentment that they are nowhere to be found. And to me, that caused a little hurt a few times. But what I also realized was sometimes there's other people that do come into your life, and they're there to support you and help you. Sometimes those people are not the same color as you. Sometimes they're not the same community as you. Sometimes they're not on, anything but maybe just there for a moment. Maybe they're an animal. Maybe they're something. Maybe it's a word, something that's been written that really inspires you. To look out for those things and to know that all the things that you're going through is an experience. It's an education. And if you find yourself the courage and the strength to go through these steps, that you will find a little bit more confidence within you. So these are just things that helped me, was to clean. I clean my home again and again. I try my best to keep organized, and I'm also love to be at service to other people, helping other people, like going to the convalescent center, singing for the elders, as a hunter, getting food and giving food away to other people to help them, other people who may need help with a few good words or prayers, people who reach out to me at schools and colleges and other things who want some good words or prayers or thoughts. I work with them and I help them, and I volunteer and I offer my services and support, as well as in the sweat lodge, helping the elders there. I carry the drum and I sing and help people, and as well as I give things away, Those things are a huge relief. And when you talk about depression and loneliness, try that. If you'd like to, try giving and being at service, and you could feel it within your heart, and how it makes other people feel. Sometimes when other people are happy and they enjoy your songs or your presence or your good words, that also lets you know that you have value. And that's very important to understand, that you are a very valuable person. You have a mission, you have a purpose, and we need you. The world needs you. The future generations need you. And that you have a connection to your ancestors that have been here for so long, and all around you You're connected to so many, not only just the people that you know that live around you, but all people throughout this world, as well as all life. That includes the animals, the trees, the plants, all the things that are in the water and the air. We're connected to all life. And this is the reason why we reiterate, honor all life. Because we look past what's right here. We look past the mirror. We look past this little circle of people that we know and understand there's a greater connection. And once you understand that greater connection, you feel fuller. You're never alone. You are never alone. And you begin to understand the spiritual elements of the world and a greater connection, even beyond what we see, which is the next world and the other spiritual entities and relationships that are out there. We will get more into that in future episodes, but I just wanted to encourage you to understand and to invite you to look into your purposes and why you are here, because you are also teaching others. There were others younger than you, perhaps, that may be looking up to you, and they're going to follow your footsteps. So we have a responsibility, not only just to ourselves, but to all life. I'm glad, in closing, I just want to say how glad I am to even be alive today. When I was way up there in Whitmore Mountain, a new mountain I'd never been at before, and it was just pure ice. And on my truck, when I was coming down that hill, the brakes locked up, and can you imagine the S corners like that, and a cliff down on one side, trees and embankment on the other, and my truck was just going like this, and the brakes, just pumping the brakes, and they just locked up, and you're just going down. That was scary. It was very, very scary. So I am so happy. So to understand, that each one of us are never guaranteed tomorrow. So be appreciative of today. Breath of life. Give thanks. Give appreciation and gratitude that we are here. And to understand everything that we are going through is also education right here. To align ourselves with this education and understanding. So to me, I'm very grateful that I have this opportunity to share these words with you today, as well as my brother here, Farron, who is here with me. We're going to make sure that this gets to you today. We will conduct a series of 5 on this particular topic. Episode 2, which will come to you next Saturday at 4 o'clock. We will focus a little bit on anger. And believe me, our productions will be improving each and every week. And so don't worry, things are going to improve. We all got to go up from here. And again, by 5, the 5th one, we want to do a live video. So put your comments in. Let us know what you think. We would love to hear from you. Please like and subscribe to our channels, and just keep updated, and suggestions, because we will make improvements. You bet. So I just want to give a shout out to Na'a Ilhahi Fund, Potlatch, MRG Foundation Front and Centered, who are my primary sponsors, who really helped me with their cultural land project and this education that we want to continue to bring out into the world for social and environmental justice, as well as our indigenous land sovereignty. So please support the different grassroots efforts towards food sovereignty and land stewardship from the indigenous people. I want to thank Music and Beyond, my dad, Tswalna, who's a great storyteller, who I learned from, as well as my family and friend, and the Young Warrior Society volunteers who really supported me and lifted me up during this time of year. Because winter and Christmas has historically been very, very hard for me. And so once we get to talk about deep depression, suicide, addiction, anger, all of these things, I've experienced these at great levels in my life. And I'm a totally different person than what I used to be, because this time of year I could not be found. I would be a total different story than what I am today. So I just want to encourage all of our people who are standing at the front lines, our water protectors, and everyone who's standing for our indigenous sovereignty and way of life and culture, to continue on with your healing ways, and to be encouraged of who we are, that we are still here. Our ways, our education, that we can help our brothers and sisters and create awareness and create steps towards humanity. And this is also healing, because we have the cycle of violence that has affected us for way too long. And these are steps that we can take in breaking that cycle of violence and getting to healing and eventually into happiness and humanity. We are all in this together, my relatives. I look forward to our next podcast, and I hope that you please share this with anyone who you feel that may help. And we will see you next week. Thank you very much. Wat bisnak siltet lemlemt, but to all life.